Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Saira Mushtaba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi releases Tiger Census Report, says success of Project Tiger matter of pride for whole world. Second G20 Development Working Group meeting under India's presidency concludes at Kumarakom in Kerala. Home Minister of India Amit Shah to visit Arunachal Pradesh to launch Vibrant Villages program in Kibithu of Anjor district. External Affairs Minister of India S. Jaishankar to embark on a visit to Uganda and Mozambique from Monday. Pakistani intruder killed as an Indian Army foils infiltration bid along the line of control in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. India to hold two-day nationwide mock drill from Monday in view of rising COVID cases. And in badminton, India's Priyanshu Rajawat wins men's singles title of Orleans Masters in France. And now the news in detail. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the success of Project Tiger in India is a matter of pride not only for the country but for the whole world, as the country not only saved tigers but also provided an ecosystem for them to thrive. He emphasized that wildlife and environmental conservation have shown good results in India, where preserving nature is part of its culture. Mr. Modi was speaking at the Golden Jubilee celebration of Project Tiger at Mysuru in Karnataka on Sunday.
प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर को 50 वर्ष हो गए हैं। प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर की सफलता भारत के लिए ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे विश्व के लिए गौरव का विषय है। भारत ने टाइगर को न सिर्फ बचाया है बल्कि उसको फलने फूलने का एक बेहतरीन इकोसिस्टम दिया है। ये हम लोगों के लिए और भी सुखद है कि जिस समय हमने अपनी आजादी के 75 वर्ष पूरे किए हैं, उसी समय दुनिया की करीब 75% पॉपुलेशन भारत में ही है।
During the event, the Prime Minister of India released a report on the status of tigers in the country, which puts the tiger population in India at 3,167 currently, from 2,967 in 2018. He launched the Big Cat Conservation International Alliance to prevent poaching and also released a commemorative coin on Project Tiger. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on Project Tiger, 50 Golden Years of Tiger Conservation in India. In conversation are environmentalist Mukul Sanwal and S. Rangabhashyam, AIR correspondent.
The Project Tiger initiative has completed 50 years, and the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji led the entire nation in commemorating 50 years of Project Tiger and also released the Tiger Census. Mr. Sanwal, as the Prime Minister himself said, we are commemorating 75 years of independence, and in this particular year, 75% of the world's tiger population is in India. Isn't that heartening?
See, it is not easy to increase the tiger population or even maintain the tiger population, because the tiger is a territorial animal and each male tiger needs something like 80 square kilometers of forest land, and tigers can roam around up to 200 to 300 square kilometers. When we see Southeast Asia, where once we had the Asiatic tiger, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand have something like 10, 15 or even less tigers in their forests. Very soon they might well be extinct, and we might come to a situation where the tigers are seen only in zoos other than in India. Why is this? It is because of our ancient culture, where the tiger was considered as an essential element in the balance with nature. We have also declared the tiger as a national animal, and there is this concerted effort of tiger reserves to maintain and increase the population of the tiger. And the significance of the Prime Minister associating himself with this program cannot be underestimated, because it gives a clear signal not only to the nation but also to the bureaucracy and the ministries that this is an important national activity. I think because of this personal involvement and the commitment to release the numbers of tigers, which is a good monitoring tool, the protection of the tiger will be ensured. And I think that is a major step for our country because the tiger maintains an ecological balance in the territory. It's like we maintain a certain balance in our home. We keep it clean. We look after the plants and other environmental factors. Similarly, the tiger is unique among the animals which treats its territory as its home. And therefore, it keeps a balance of other animals which it preys on and keeps others outside, including local villagers who come there to graze their cattle or otherwise. The tiger is an essential element in maintaining the ecological balance of a certain area, and in this case, it's a vast area. So for our biodiversity, for our national heritage, as well as for our future, the tiger is an indicator species which indicates that yes, we are maintaining the ecological balance. And in our case, it is something like 75,000 square kilometers, as the Prime Minister has pointed out.
Mr. Sanwal, if we were to just take a look at some of the numbers, in the year 2014, there were 2,226 tigers. And in the next 8 years almost, the number has come to 3,167. More than, 40% increase in population within a short span of 8 years. Despite problems like habitat destruction and the man-animal conflict and all these issues, a commendable increase in tiger population by more than 40%. Isn't that a wonderful achievement for the country?
It is a wonderful achievement because as the tiger population increases, new areas are come under watch. More sightings are there for more tourist activity, and that gives income to the local people. And the most important factor is that once you get into this cycle, the bureaucracy gets into a behavior pattern that they need to look out for tiger deaths. What are the birth rates? What is the habitation of the tiger? Where tigers can be found? In which pocket? Which part of the sanctuary? So they get involved, and that involvement increases the quality of their work. And I think the Prime Minister's personal involvement and his interaction with the field staff, encouraging them, recognizing them, but I think give an impetus to this essential activity of the ground level bureaucracy that they get involved in this. They see it not as something that they have been directed to do, but as something they want to do. And I think that shift is what is really, not only in bureaucracy, in any organization. When the leader gets involved with the field, gives a certain clear direction, then things start improving. Because it is not just a question of numbers or areas, but we need to improve the quality of the habitat so that the numbers keep increasing. And I think that vision or that direction has been given by the Prime Minister. And in the next coming years, we will see this impact.
Mr. Sanwal, the tiger is supposed to be at the top of the food chain, and efforts to conserve the population of tiger will probably have a cascading effect on all the components of the food chain. Can we expect the entire ecosystem with the biodiversity to benefit from the conservation? Means all the other animals and the entire biodiversity would also have expanded by leaps and bounds?
Yes, in that particular area. I'm not saying that in the entire 75,000 square meters of tiger reserves, but in the areas which are the territory of a particular tiger or a family of tigers, maybe 100 square kilometers, it will certainly happen. And as the numbers increase, this territorial pockets also expand. And therefore, a stage will come when more areas will be covered. In more areas, nature will be in balance, and we will see the benefit in terms of biodiversity, in terms of water, in terms of the balance between different kinds of animal species. But I must caution that there will be a certain limit to this, because tiger population cannot keep on increasing, because we are also developing, we are urbanizing, forest areas are limited. So till we reach that balance, and I'm not saying we are anywhere close to that balance, but till we reach that balance, I think we will see a definite change, not only in the forest cover, the animals, but in the forest ecosystem. We have not started monitoring the ecosystem of an area so far, of the tiger reserves. And it is quite likely that we might start doing that also, so that we see the tangible benefits, we come across new species, we come across new biodiversity research elements, and I think this is a step in the right direction, because biological diversity is the foundation of our biotechnology industry. So it is not just nature conservation, tourism, and the economic activity of the neighboring forest, but we might see And I would not be surprised if we come across some elements or some genetic forms in these tiger reserves which will give a breakthrough to our biotechnology industry also.
Mr. Sanwal, let's discuss the flip side also. Despite, achievements like these, there has been issues. We often hear about the man-animal conflict, especially in the areas on the peripheries of forests, and also habitat destruction. There have been pressures of land, highways going through forests, and big projects coming up, dams coming up, which leads to habitat destruction. So how do we reconcile to this fact? How do we go ahead? There will always be this conflict between economy and ecology.
That is really a Western construct. The West conquers nature. Our civilizational values are living in harmony with nature. Let me give you an example of Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand. The beginning of the Corbett National Park was the floodplain of a river, which provided a lot of foliage for deer and tiger habitat. Followed. Occasional forest department officers would come on elephant back to check and to shoot a couple of tigers. And very soon a tiger reserve was formed. Then came a dam, Talagarh Dam. And now we find that the dam and the tiger Corbett National Park are living in harmony with each other. So it is not the existence of the dam, but how the dam was constructed and what happened afterwards. So one should not say that there is a case of environment and development contradiction or conflict. It's really a question of how development takes place, in what manner, so that we recognize the existence of the animals of nature as well as development needs. Now again, take the Rajaji Sanctuary, Uttarakhand. Bridges have been built, the highways are on bridges so that animals can pass underneath. Animals need a corridor to move. Even elephants, corridors have been created. So it's just a question of looking at the kind of development we are doing, how we are doing it, and it has been possible so far. We have enough experience to see that it can be in balance. Yes, the villagers that live in the periphery of these areas are more in contact with the tigers. As I said, generally the tiger is a territorial animal. It is when two tigers fight for a territory, the loser moves out. And it has been noticed that it is the loser who then moves out into the forest, into the non-forest areas, into the neighboring villages in search of another forest patch. And the view has been expressed that there should be corridors to allow them to do so. Now that is leading to conflict, but there again, I think the villagers have realized that they too benefit with the reserve, because at the edge of the reserve they can graze their cattle, at the edge of the reserve, not in the core areas. So we have also modified our notion of tiger reserves into core areas and other areas. In the other areas, some controlled grazing is permitted, some controlled firewood. And most important of all, when the economic development of these people who have been traditionally dependent on the forest increases, they will move out to cities for jobs. They will not venture into forests, so the conflict will come down. I think the way to look at this issue is not a conflict, as the Prime Minister has pointed out, between environment and development, but the way we do development, how peripheral areas develop, and how we manage the tiger population in a way that they can be balanced. And our forest departments, the people manning these reserves, have now enough experience of this. The movement of the tiger, the movement of the people, what kind of development.
Mr. Sanwal, let's hope that in times to come, the population of not only the tiger, but all the big cats increases by leaps and bounds. Thank you so much for joining us in this discussion.
Thank you.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Welcome back. India's G20 presidency is witnessing a series of significant deliberations and related events across the country. This week, the cities in focus were Agartala, Gandhinagar, Thiruvananthapuram, Kumarakom, Guwahati and Kohima, whereas Hyderabad, Goa, Varanasi and Bhubaneswar is gearing up for the upcoming meetings this month. We take a close look at G20 events held during the past week and what is in store for us ahead.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
The week began with Science 20 conference held at Agartala in Tripura on the 3rd of this month. More than 60 delegates participated in this science conclave on clean energy for greener future. This two-day event brought together experts, researchers, policymakers and industry leaders from around the world to discuss the latest advancements in the field of clean energy and its potential to drive a greener future. Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Ajay Sood, in his introductory address flagged that the world is faced with an unprecedented issues which require immediate action in order to save the future. He said ocean-based technologies can help the mankind to harness vast amount of energy through tidal currents, and new generation energy storage tells that we need to think beyond lithium electrochemistry. The second G20 Energy Transition Working Group ETWG meeting concluded at Gandhinagar in Gujarat on the 4th of April with focus on collaboration, global cooperation and commitment for clean energy transition. The proposed formation of Global Biofuel Alliance received wide-ranging support from member countries. The other key points of discussion was low-cost financing for energy transition, where member countries discussed about important role of international financial structure, including raising the ambitions of multilateral financial institutions and the importance of coordinating actions with Sustainable Finance Working Group initiated under India's G20 presidency. Secretary in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Bhupendra Singh Bhalla, addressed a side event on green hydrogen accelerating net zero pathways. He said green hydrogen has emerged as the promising pathway for meeting decarbonization goals.
In January this year, Government of India has taken a landmark decision by approving and launching the National Green Hydrogen Mission. This aims to position India as a leader in the global clean energy transition. By 2030, the mission targets to achieve at least 5 million metric tons of annual green hydrogen production capacity in the country. This will come along with the associated renewable energy capacity of about 125 gigawatts. This scale of requirement is expected to bring over $100 billion in total investments and generate employment for over 600,000 in the country.
In his address, Minister of State for Ayush and Women and Child Development, Dr. Mahendra Bhai Munjapara stressed on the need to work together to accelerate the transition to clean energy and promoting sustainable growth. Speaking on the occasion, Secretary in the Power Ministry, Alok Kumar, spoke about the need to address the threat of climate change, saying that it is crucial for us to transition in a cleaner and sustainable source of energy.
सस्टेनेबल कूलिंग एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विषय है, क्योंकि आने वाले समय में कूलिंग की जो डिमांड है वो चाहे घर हैं, चाहे दफ्तर हैं, चाहे हमारे अस्पताल हैं, चाहे हमारी कोल्ड चेन है, कोल्ड स्टोरेज के लिए, उन सब में बहुत बढ़ने वाली है और ये विकास के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। लेकिन साथ ही हमें प्रयास करने होंगे कि जो कूलिंग के लिए इक्विपमेंट यूज किया जाए, जो बिल्डिंग्स बनाई जाएं, वो अच्छी एफिशिएंट हो ताकि एनर्जी डिमांड के लिए कंट्रोल की जा सके, ताकि एमिशंस कम से कम हो। इसके लिए भारत ने कई कदम उठाए हैं, जैसे नया बिल्डिंग कोड बना रहे हैं।
The first Energy Transition Working Group meeting was held in Bengaluru in the month of February this year. The second G20 Employment Working Group meeting concluded successfully at Guwahati in Assam on the 5th of this month. Briefing media persons, Joint Secretary in the Labour and Employment Ministry, Rupesh Kumar Thakur, informed that all the member countries agreed on most of the things of ministerial declarations, while the remaining few topics will be discussed in Geneva. The three-day meeting of the Employment Working Group had the mandate of addressing priorities of labour, employment and social issues for strong, sustainable, balanced and job-rich growth for all. A total of 74 delegates from member countries, guest countries and international organizations participated in this event. Nagaland hosted the fourth and the final B20 session organized in the Northeast as part of G20 Dialogue Forum for the Global Business Community on the 5th of April. About 60 delegates from 27 countries participated in the B20 meeting. Addressing the inaugural session, Union Minister of State for External Affairs and Education, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, exuded confidence that the Business 20 event in Nagaland gave the business community a unique opportunity to know Northeast and examine opportunities in Northeast from close quarters. The second G20 Empower, that is Empowerment and Progression of Women's Economic Representation meeting concluded at Tiruvananthapuram in Kerala on the 6th of this month. The theme of the three-day meeting was Women's Empowerment, a win-win for equity and economy. During the meeting, discussions were held in the areas of women entrepreneurship, leadership development and financial empowerment. The meeting also discussed the role of health in women empowerment, participation of women in science and non-traditional fields, etc. Chairperson of G20 Empower, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, informed that a digital fluency platform and mentorship platform for women in 121 languages will be set up. The second G20 Development Working Group meeting drew to a close at Kumarakom in Kerala on Sunday. India termed the deliberations of meeting as fruitful and constructive, which received the broad support of the G20 member countries. The meet witnessed detailed discussions on various development priorities proposed by India, including data for development, just green transitions, women-led development and accelerating progress on sustainable development goals. Briefing media about the meeting, Joint Secretaries in the Ministry of External Affairs, Nagaraj Naidu and Enam Gambhir expressed hope that a more consensual outcome is expected at the ministerial level meeting to be held at Varanasi after the next two rounds to be held at Goa and Delhi. Stating that finance was a key item of discussion during the deliberations, Mr. Naidu said the G20 finance track is looking into some of these issues carefully, including climate financing. Ms. Gambhir said India presented to the world a very different strategy and approach to climate and development that will ensure bold climate actions without sacrificing developmental approaches. She said India's presidency has given such concepts a brand new orientation and fresh thinking. The meeting saw the participation of over 80 delegates from G20 nations, invitee countries and various international and regional organizations. Before we wrap up, here is a quick look at the upcoming key G20 events scheduled to be held in India later this month. The second G20 Digital Economy Working Group meeting will take place in Hyderabad from 17th to 19th of April. The second Health Working Group meeting will be held in Goa during the same period. Meeting of Agricultural Chief Scientists will take place in Varanasi from 17th to 19th of this month. Bhubaneswar will host the third Education Working Group meeting between 24th and 27th of April. Besides, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das will jointly chair the second G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors FMCBG meeting to take place on the 12th and 13th of April at Washington, D.C. in the United States. The meeting will advance efforts towards the preparation of G20's India's finance track deliverables for the third G20 FMCBG meeting to be held at Gandhinagar in Gujarat in July this year. And with that, we end our weekly round of G20 events held across the country. Nishit Kumar for World News All India Radio.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
In some more news, Home Minister of India Amit Shah will be on a two-day visit to the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh beginning Monday. On the first day of his visit, he will launch the Vibrant Villages program in Kibithu, a border village in the Anjaw district. Mr. Shah will also inaugurate 9 micro-hydel projects of the Arunachal Pradesh government constructed under the Golden Jubilee Border Illumination program in Kibithu. These electricity projects will empower people living in border villages. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be on an official visit to Uganda and Mozambique from Monday till the 15th of this month. On the first leg of his visit to Uganda, Dr. Jaishankar is expected to hold delegation-level talks with his counterpart, Foreign Minister General Jeje Odongo, call on the leadership of the country and meet other ministers. Dr. Jaishankar will also inaugurate the transit campus of the National Forensic Science University NFSU in Jinja. A bilateral MOU between India and Uganda on setting up the first ever campus of NFSU outside India is likely to be signed during the visit. Dr. S. Jaishankar will visit Mozambique from the 13th to the 15th of April. This will be the first ever visit by an External Affairs Minister of India to Mozambique. During the visit, he will call on the top leadership and also co-chair the 5th session of the Joint Commission meeting with Mozambican Foreign Minister Ms. Veronica Macamo. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will attend the spring annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund (IMF), World Bank at Washington, D.C. in the United States on Monday. The meeting will be attended by finance ministers and central bankers from across the world. On the sidelines of the spring annual meetings, Ms. Sitharaman will have bilateral engagements with her respective counterparts from G20 countries and heads of other delegations. India-France Business Summit commemorating 25 years of India-France friendship will be held on the 11th of this month in Paris. The summit will focus on themes including building a green future, emerging technologies, defense cooperation and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific regions. In the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, a Pakistani intruder was killed as alert Indian Army troops foiled a major infiltration bid along the line of control (LOC) in the frontier district of Poonch. Defence PRO said troops detected suspicious movement of a group of individuals close to the border fence along the LOC in Poonch during the intervening night of Saturday and Sunday. On being intercepted in the ensuing operations, one body was seen while the other intruders ran into the forest area. The area has been cordoned off and a search operation is in progress. India will be holding a 2-day nationwide mock drill across all health facilities from Monday to assess the preparedness of COVID management amid rising cases in the country. The country has registered over 5,300 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar will inaugurate the scientific convention in New Delhi on the occasion of World Homeopathy Day on Monday. World Homeopathy Day is observed to commemorate the birth anniversary of the founder of homeopathy, Dr. Christian Frederick Samuel Hahnemann, to mark his 268th birth anniversary. Benjamin Ferencz, the last surviving prosecutor from the Nuremberg trials in Germany after World War II, passed away at the age of 103 in the United States. Ferencz fought in Europe during the Second World War and helped liberate several concentration camps before turning to the courtroom. He was just 27 when he was named chief prosecutor for Nuremberg's Einsatzgruppen trial and secured the convictions of 22 Nazi officers for crimes against humanity. Ferencz championed the creation of an international court which could prosecute any government's leaders for war crimes. The dream was realized in 2002 with the establishment of the International Criminal Court in The Hague. The auspicious festival of Easter was observed across the globe on Sunday. On the occasion, India's President, Vice President and Prime Minister conveyed their wishes to the citizens living in the country and abroad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Sacred Heart Cathedral in New Delhi. During his visit, Mr. Modi met spiritual leaders from the Christian community. On to sports now. India's Priyanshu Rajawat clinched the Orleans Masters Super 300 badminton tournament with a win over Denmark's Magnus Johansson in France on Sunday. This is the first Super 300 final for Rajawat. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders snatched an incredible win from defending champions Gujarat Titans with a blitz from Rinku Singh, who hit 5 sixes off Yash Dayal in the final over of the game. The other fixture between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Punjab Kings is underway in Hyderabad. Now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Globe and Mail reports Israeli military says 3 rockets fired from Syria. The Wall Street Journal reports China's military greets return of Taiwan's president with live fire drills. The Business Recorder writes, UK Sunak hails North Ireland peace ahead of Biden visit. CNN writes, at least 44 killed in Burkina Faso attacks. Khabar Hub writes, Japan to lead G7 talks on climate, decarbonization and energy stability. Prothomalo reports Saudi delegation in Iran after historic deal. And Japan Times reports, Pope appeals to Russians on Ukraine, decries Middle East violence in Easter message. A quick look at the headlines once again now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi releases Tiger Census Report, says success of Project Tiger, matter of pride for whole world. Second G20 Development Working Group meeting under India's presidency concludes at Kumarakom in Kerala. Home Minister of India Amit Shah to visit Arunachal Pradesh to launch Vibrant Villages program in Kibithu of Anjaw district. External Affairs Minister of India S. Jaishankar to embark on a visit to Uganda and Mozambique from Monday. Pakistani intruder killed as Indian Army foils infiltration bid along line of control in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. India to hold 2-day nationwide mock drill from Monday in view of rising COVID cases. And in badminton, India's Priyanshu Rajawat wins men's singles title of Orleans Masters in France. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan by artists from Zimbabwe. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.